So I noticed that you guys do most of your lyrics in Swedish, but a lot of song titles are in English. So I decided when I knew I was going to interview you that I would teach myself Swedish.
Of course.
I've had 3 days, so pretty good, but you may have to correct a little bit of pronunciation. I want to title the interview in English, but I'll ask you all the questions and conduct the interview in Swedish because I've gotten pretty good at it. So first question. Om en gris eller Vermillion Sky, hur högt går byxorna?
Yes.
Yes, 35.
I knew it. No, I'm not doing that anymore. Okay, just for any of you who don't speak Swedish, that just means if a pig eats Vermillion Sky, how high do the pants go as far as Google translates concerned.
All that matters is...
Wrong!
This town deserves a better class of
Heavy Metal Podcast.
I'm gonna give it. If you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Walk through the gate of consciousness. Stone floors drop from under you.
Okay, there's a recording in progress. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on a Sunday. I know it's late where you are. It's sort of early where I am. So I am here with Skraeckoedlan, which means some form of terrible lizard, dinosaur in Greek and Latin and whatnot. But it comes from a movie, right? From 20,000 Fathoms, something like that?
Yeah, exactly. We named the band Skraeckoedlan. It's 2 words. Skräck is horror and ödlan is lizard. So the translation is like the horror lizard. And we named the band before we really knew about the movie. We made this whole concept for the first album, like environmental crisis, the polar ice caps are melting and a big monster wakes up. And then that was the plot of the movie. Yeah, it was crazy.
Fortuitous, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I have a small poster of it because, we go hand in hand with the concept of the movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it like in the line of monster movies and old 50s weird sci-fi things. So corresponds with the band.
That's so cool. Yeah, Apple traded. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Close enough.
Close enough. So I am here with Robert Lamu, vocals. And guitars, Henrik Grutner, vocals and guitar, and Martin Larsson, backup vocals and drums, and Erik Berggren, bass. And Erik, you joined in 2019 for the Earth album, right? Well, I think you might be on mute.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, your mic is on mute.
Or maybe you were just on mute for the first 2 albums. Like Jason Newsted.
Exactly.
They beat me to it. Yes, I was Newsteaded for the first 3 albums. Justice for me. On this album, you can hear me play Hi, yes, I'm Erik. And I joined the band in 2019.
You guys are on Fuzzorama with another band that I love, Asteroid, and Truck Fighters is another really popular band. I want to go back through sort of the discography. It's something that I've done with all the bands that I've talked to so far about album of the year. This is very different for me because Vermillion Sky was my introduction to you. So I got to go back and listen to the back catalog and the discography, retconning it to my experience of Vermillion Sky. So I apologize if I'm like, oh, that has a Vermillion Sky kind of riff to it, because that's the one I'm just most familiar with. But 2011 was April Traded. Something like that.
Yep.
Universe is sort of that first one that I was like, it starts out with that sort of Queens of the Stone Age kind of vibe to it. And then it lifts off and I can sort of hear the band here that will make Vermillion Sky.
When you see who I am, mighty all-knowing now, behind the hand of light and eye of life. Let's do what we have seen, let's show the way. Life, next to the end, I know, in this time.
those lyrics are so clear, it almost feels like I can understand every word. What are the influences for the band? I'm sure they're vast because I hear a lot all over the place. I hear a lot of echoes of different bands and things, and I'd be interested to see where you guys sort of come from on that.
To start with, it's a cool take to listen to the latest release and then listening back to the catalog and hearing it that way, because for us it's the other way around. Of course, we started writing music for the Apple-Threaded album and weren't really good songwriters then, but now we have turned into better songwriters, and I guess now we can write more of what we want to play. And in the beginning it's more about writing songs that you're familiar with. So we wrote more songs with that sounded like the bands we were listening to, I guess. And that was Truck Fighters and Fu Manchu and Queens of the Stone Age and Caius and
all of that desert rock kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think back then we tried to be more true to that. Like it needs to be that way. And with the Vermillion album, I don't think we really ever thought about it sounding anything else than sounding like us.
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, it really is. It has its own distinct sound. I mean, it does have that, space retro future space concept, but it's definitely unique to you. The closer on that album, Rolk, I think, is just like, that's one where I can hear sort of like Vermillion's guy, can hear the band that will make that album eventually. I love that. It's a great one. Segor?
Yeah.
All right, you got to correct me.
Do you want to have the titles in Swedish, maybe?
Okay, let's start. The first one, Apple-Trädet.
Apple-Trädet.
Yeah, the apple tree.
The apple tree, okay.
Yeah, and the whole concept about that was an apple tree growing through the concrete of the remains of a human city, and life coming back.
Cool.
And the other one is called Sagor.
Sagor.
It translates into tales, like
fairy tales. Yeah,
got it. This one feels to me kind of like a sister album to Vermillion Sky. There's something about this one that feels complete and gigantos. That Martin's drumming when we first start out is just thundering on that song, and then you hit the riff around a minute, and it kills. It's soaring. It has that feel of like the song that sort of lifts the album off in a way that Star Squatch kind of does.
Thank you. It's nice to hear. I don't really remember what part comes at 1 minute in Gigantos, but
it's the string quartet.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that funny? Like I'm literally writing down at 5 minutes and 47 seconds, this song changed to whatever. And you guys I don't remember what happened.
But Martin, on the other hand, don't remember even recording the drums, I guess. So
No. I have famously the worst memory in this band. No, I do remember recording the drums for the album, but I have no idea what part is what in what song.
One of the things that I love too is that on that album, El Monstro, all of a sudden you're introducing a new convention. You have a female vocalist in that song.
Yes.
And one of the things that I think Skraeckoedlan has done throughout your guys' career, listening back to it, is that you are introducing new conventions as you go. All of a sudden, this thing will happen. A lot of times with bands, it can feel like, I don't know, let's just sort of do this. But for some reason, it feels maximized. It feels like you guys have made a very deliberate choice to do that for that song, and it really works. Like you've mined the possibility of having that female singer. Was that a deliberate thing, or was it, we know this person, and you guys just executed it really well?
That's a good question. I think we are very playful with the songwriting, and I think we are very open to weird shit.
You're here. So you're on this podcast.
No. So whenever something weird, fun arrives, like an idea or someone says something, we often dig around a bit in it to see what it is. I think that is something we do all the time. So even if something is quite a curveball, it's always something that we try out and dig around in and see how it could work. And that was the thing with that song. We were studying at a music university. College. No, what is it?
There's no equivalent in English.
Okay, we studied music together, and we had a girl in our class that we did another cover song with, an Etta James cover, and then it was like, wouldn't you want to try to sing on one of the songs we're working on? And it just turned out to that, and I think that was the best decision on the album, having her sing on that.
That is so cool. I mean, there may not be an exact, translation for the thing, but we have schools in America.
What?
I know as of recently, it doesn't seem like it, but we do. We do. I promise.
Found that education online, and the thing was, you studied as a band, and you discovered your concept, and that felt such a cool thing to do, and we were like, yeah, let's do that for 2 years. So
yeah, we came back from our first European tour, and we're like, let's do more of this, and found a school where we could do that full time for 2 years. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I think everything comes from that. Like, okay, we need to explore weird things. We need to try things out.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's part of it, like not becoming too stagnant and always try to find some kind of progression. I mean, however small it may seem, like, yeah, to not get like stuck. I mean, we will always have like one leg kind of stuck in the like stoner rocky desert kind of thing, but the other leg is free to like move around wherever.
It's studying your craft too, right? I mean, I think it's cool though that you guys went on tour and then we're like, we should go back and learn more. Like most people would be like, all right, cool, got it. We're a band now. We figured it out, and now we just make music. But that's really inspiring. I'm an artist as well. I'm not a musician in any way, shape, or form. But
then we're the same then.
Both that and also the fact that, like in Sweden, you actually get paid to study at the higher education levels. So, I mean, it was a way to be able to do music full time for 2 years, basically, without being at that point in our career where we could make that work financially with just a band. So,
have you guys ever thought about adopting a 40-year-old American?
Yeah, we have. Yes, we have.
Because I can really get paid to study.
We have his form on our website. You can just apply there.
Hey guys, we finally found him. We finally found the 40-year-old American we talked about.
It's that guy in the band. The guy that just hangs out in the back. We just adopted him. Yeah, he was a podcaster. So, speaking of new conventions, the next song that comes up is Tale of Squidman, which was like, I loved that song. And it took me about 3 times to listen to it to realize to realize there are no lyrics. It's all, clips from movies. And it's so tremendous. It's such a tremendous song, especially that, not kidding you, 5 minutes and 47 seconds in is when that drop hits. Martin, that's when the song changes. And it's that huge drop, and the old prospector voice says, "Never take more than dynamite to get it out."
that drop is like always, for me at least, one of the highlights of the set is when we get to do that, because it's just, yeah, it's massive. It's so much fun, and it's just heavy as shit.
Yeah, it's so good. 2019, you make Earth as in English, and I'll let you pronounce the title in Swedish.
That title actually isn't even in Swedish. I don't think our pronunciations are going to be great. It's in like Proto-Germanic.
Oh.
Why we named it that was because a sci-fi author from Sweden wrote a short story for us about the landmass between Denmark and UK that used to be a place for mammoths to roar before it sunk down into the ocean.
Was it the island? Was it there was like an island that literally where like the
Doggerland.
Yeah, like these tiny mammoths. I read about these tiny mammoths existed. There were actual big mammoths, and there were like smaller ones that existed, like pygmy mammoths that existed at the same time as the pyramids, which blows my mind.
Yeah, there's something like that. And there used to be a landmass between, like in the middle of the ocean now, and that place was called Doggerland.
Oh, so that's where Creature of Doggerland comes from.
Creature of Doggerland is about the last mammoth to sinks into the ocean of that place. But I found a lot of old writings about Doggerland, and those were written in like old Germanic in the beginning, and they used to use an old letter that looks like it's the letter of TH, the pronunciation of TH.
So thorn, it's called a thorn sign.
Thorn.
Oh, that's one that looks kind of like the weird P or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like a P where the bulging part has fallen down into the middle.
Oh, I see you're a linguist as well.
Earth is the soil that they found the mammoths in, so we named it Earth. I don't know how you should pronounce it in Swedish either.
I mean, I could barely pronounce anything in English, so. Well, I'm sure the creature, no matter how great and unique it was, does not have the vocal harmonies of the track that you named it after. Again, this is another one that I was like, man, Martin slays this song. It's so good. You know what I wanted to ask you about? Kong Mammoth, which means King Mammoth, right, in English. It starts out with this little arpeggio riff that sounds very Mastodon-inspired. Did you guys do that on purpose?
Probably, or maybe.
Wait, what band is that? I'd never heard of that. Mastodon?
Contemporaries with Black Tusk, so.
Yeah, I guess that
they're our favorite band. Like, as a band, Mastodon is our favorite band.
Mastodon's probably my favorite band.
Can't really write things without thinking, this should be a bit more like Mastodon.
This song about giant elephants and mammoths, what band could we draw inspiration from? I wonder.
The song doesn't sound particularly, like Mastodon, but I do think it has, just the beginning of it, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So, Vermillion Sky, 2024. Here we are. Here we arrive at the future. I was writing down when I was listening back through it and walking and listening, and was writing down standout tracks on albums before this. And then when I got to Vermillion Sky, I realized I wrote down every track as a standout track. You guys, this album is just banger after banger after banger after banger. It's so solid. It's so good. And there's nothing out of place. It feels totally cohesive. I just want to hear you talk about it because I really was completely blown away.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I was looking at lyrics. I had to go to look at the lyrics for Star Squatch and translating them, and I did the same thing for Vermillion Sky. And there's so much dreaming in this album. It was resonant to me when I was reading it as a dad. You know, there's a great line in Star Squatch. My life and times were over. You were my salvation, the future. When our heart stops beating, we are then in your dreams. Time has slowly passed away. And there's something about that there's this great sense of like longing and loss, and also kind of glimmers of hope in that, you know, sort of omnipresence of loss and longing. And I wondered if that was the dream was intentional.
I think all the lyrics are very intentional on this album, more so than the last ones. I mean, the album before this, Earth, we had like a synopsis written by a sci-fi author, or he's a sci-fi author from Sweden, and then he like tasked us with writing an album based on that synopsis. So we did, and that sort of bridges two of his books. So that album exists in between there. But for this album, Henrik wrote the whole album as a novel. So every track actually has a chapter in a book. And Star Squatch, I think Robert wrote that chapter.
So do you guys have this book?
It exists, yes.
You can buy it at our live shows.
I can. Well, we can send you. We can send you a copy.
Yes.
It's in English as well, so it's.
Oh, no kidding! And that's where some of the art comes from for my copy of my vinyl copy is on its way.
Yeah, it's the same artist who made the art for the books that made all the art for the album. So
that's incredible.
And that it comes from the sci-fi author Nils Håkansson, who wrote the synopsis for Earth, the Earth album. We got quite inspired by him to try to make it ourselves, and we've been talking about it. And I think me and Henrik has been reading sci-fi together since like 2013 in preparation for doing something like this. So when we started, we had like a startup meeting when we made a blueprint of what the album should be, and then we said to Henrik, write this. And then he was finished with it like 1 week before the release of the album. So
that's cool.
Yes, because planning and deadlines.
we said, Henrik, write this. And then we said, write this. Henrik, you need to write this. We're running out of time. Henrik, why haven't you written anything?
It's fine. Still got a week.
Plenty of time to write a book. Sure.
Yeah, right. No,
so the lyrics, and then it's my way of writing lyrics is almost the same thing. It's like the Swedish melancholic hopefulness.
Oh, that's great.
I think it's like in our backbone in Sweden in a lot of things. It's dark and windy and cold, and but you have to hope for the summer to come. And I think that is translated into all art in Sweden in some way. And I think that's how I like to write lyrics. So when we wrote the lyrics for this album, it was partly bringing the story of the book forward, but also partly like my thoughts about life and a lot about finding home and finding a safe place in the darkness. So
yeah, there's so much about the darkness. Yeah, that
I think it's melancholic hopefulness in darkness.
I was just writing it down. I was like, I don't know what the story is, but it sounds like an explorer having left someone behind to find a new world. And the lyrics, and it sounds like the omnipresence of sort of loss, but then, you know, glimmers of hope in that. And so melancholic hope it's like, that's perfect. That's exactly what that feels like. Erik, was this your first album, or was Earth your first album?
This was my first album.
This was your first album. Congratulations. You got on board at the right time.
Thank you. I got on board. I did. I'm very happy about that.
We are too, so.
Yes.
That's why this is the best album.
My podcast brings bands together.
No, if you want to be really nitpicky about chronology, the 10-year anniversary of Äppelträdet, we redid the 3 songs in English into Swedish. That was technically the first release I was on, but it was only 3 songs. So this is the first full-length.
Oh, that's cool.
Album. Yeah.
I saw that there was a 10th year anniversary and that it was then released to an international audience, and it was just in Sweden before that. Is that the case?
Something like that, I think. Yeah. Erik coming in a few years before started writing the Vermillion album really took it to another level as well, because the first thing that he wrote for it was the bass line in Cosmic Dawn. So a lot of we already knew that was the opening track. So like his bass playing has formed the songwriting a lot, and he is the only one who knows how to write music in the band and to play music. So
well, I know Henrik knows how to write a book, so
well, you say that, but you haven't read it. Well,
you haven't read it.
Well, I'll tell you what, the cover looks good, and I always judge a book by its cover.
As well, you should.
I was joking on the clip that I sent you guys about how it sounds like flying through an asteroid field in the 70s, but the future with your crewmate Henrik Bergqvist, because it just sounds like such a 70s Swedish radio that it has that melancholy to it. And I think that to me is where a lot of it comes from, because the 70s is, the early 70s feels like the after party for the 60s, and then the late 70s feels like the after party, when you're like, ooh, I shouldn't be learning that about Bianca Jagger. But like there's something about that has that feel to it. And at the very end of the album, Astro Nautilus, it sounds like the song sort of almost becomes like AM radio or something. What is that effect, and what was or do I have to wait to read the book?
I had a thought about that. Like the album starts out with the sound of something starting and the 2 people talking to each other, one on a space station and one on the ship, and then it starts out. And then I wanted the end feeling like something that the after credits could play to.
Oh yeah,
in a movie. So you had that feeling of everything slows down and everything you can do after that, it just. Okay, now I can only shut it off. That's the only thing I can do. I wanted to feel like, okay, we're here now. It's the end.
You just made me so sad. Quinn just made me really sad. No, it actually feels like, that it felt a little bit like Songs for the Deaf, where all of a sudden the music goes into the radio, you know what I mean? And so the story in my head, which is probably like infantile compared to what you guys have done with the book, is like, an explorer or something like that, leaving a daughter or leaving a loved one or a wife or something like that. And then this whole thing coming back and this girl or this person listening to that on the radio, that it was either 2 realities or sort of the end of the story, but maybe in different planes of existence or something. I don't know. I just loved it. I thought it was such a wonderfully simple way to tie all of it into this is a story and someone is hearing it. And that, now that someone is you, but I wondered if there was somebody intended as the listener there.
I think we want the albums to be interpreted as in the way you want, and you should explore the feelings that they give you. That's why we never really.
So you're saying I'm right.
Yeah, exactly. And I wrote it down now, so from now on we're gonna say that is.
Yeah, that was a much better.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick edit.
Tell me more about that outro that we wrote.
In the second edition of the book, which will not be the one you'll be receiving, this is what happens in the end. But
about the author, my picture on the back cover.
Yes.
Well, I think one of my favorite examples of that feeling, that chorus on Vermillion Sky is my favorite. The title track is my favorite track. I mean, my favorite track among, which one of my kids is my favorite? It's the boy, but like, but I've been singing it in my head for like weeks. I just wanted to give you some of the lyrics and have you tell me about it here. We have, again, dream. We have a dream of seeing the sun go down together. There beyond the dawn we see you, but our longing is a torment. There beyond the fields the sun shines. We remember the time we have. Here, beyond everything, we see clearly the dream gives us life soon. And I'm a Shakespeare nerd. I'm a poetry nerd because I was a classical actor. And so I'm just noticing there. And then the very last one is here. Here now, the dream gives us life. I just thought that was such a simple, beautiful little twist. But all of that, it feels like it has a progression to it.
Yeah, it sounds so much more beautiful in English. We grew up on American culture in Sweden, so hearing it like that, it's like in the movies.
I mean, I could do it as like a famous, like Sean Connery. Yeah, we have a dream of seeing the sun go down together.
Yeah, please continue.
Now it feels more like when we heard it in Swedish.
Yeah.
Why do you choose to do the lyrics in Swedish? I think it's a great choice. I love it on Mega Galactic Void Honcho. By the way, that song's so heavy, and that's where I remember writing down like, ooh, this is a good choice to do Swedish. Like, no, it makes so much sense. There's a languidness to it.
the whole Vermillion Sky thing for me is finding home or leaving something that is broken. If it's something toxic in your life, or if it's moving to a new place, or if it's like life takes you different places. So I have those feelings in my body a lot while writing these lyrics. So it's a lot about that, and also the story is about that as well. Leaving an exploited world because of greed has exploited it, and going to something new. So that is what it's about, I think. And singing in Swedish, it's because when we started the band back in 2009, I went to a show and watched Witchcraft play, and they did...
I was going to ask you about them.
Yeah, they did one song in Swedish, and it was the first time I've heard heavy stonerish music in Swedish. Then I thought about, what if you do it like but more doomy and play like doom stoner in Swedish? There wasn't really any band doing it back then. So
I was going to ask you about Swedish music. These guys as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That is the album that started everything. So
is it? That's what I was going to ask you about, because it seems like this is for people who are not seeing it. This is Hinsigen Blues by the band Graveyard, their second album. I got into them on their first one, which is the self-titled one, and then Hinsigen Blues just blew my brain apart.
Yes.
Yeah, it changed everything up here. Like
it's amazing.
It made rock music cool again. Like rock music was quite dead. We have a lot of black metal and we have a lot of death metal and melodic metal, but rock wasn't cool at all. And then Hinsigen Blues came and opened up everything, and then it was like a cool underground rock pub in every town after that. So
it feels like somewhere around after the turn of the century, somebody just dropped off like the first 4 Sabbath albums in Sweden. Everything just went and spread out from there, and you got Witchcraft and Graveyard and Asteroid to a smaller extent, and then now I've found all of these bands like you guys coming out of that. It's like, thank you, whoever dropped those records off.
All those 3 bands, actually, I think like the roots of those are in Örebro, where Truck Fighters also is from.
Feels like there was like a blues, stoner, doom renaissance somewhere around the 2000s in Sweden. And I mean, the stuff that is being produced in that country, the music it's so rich. I mean, I know obviously you have a lot of very famous pop writers as well. Is that ever tempting to you? Is it something you like? I mean, there are a lot of really rich Swedish songwriters.
I don't think that's really tempting for any of us.
Not really writing, no, but I don't think we set up any rules as to like how pop our music can be. I don't think we've ever been like, oh, this song you wrote, it's not heavy enough, and therefore we can't do it in this band. It's so there's no rules about that. But naturally, I don't think that any of us have the ability or will end up writing something like a Max Martin song.
Right. How did you know I was talking about Max Martin? Maybe I was talking about somebody else.
Because nobody talks about Max Martin when it comes to Swedish music.
No, and I don't mean it in a way of like, are you guys going to sell out anytime? But like,
I'd love to if somebody would want to buy it, but
they have the motivation, just not the opportunity. You seem like you're pretty solid dudes in what you're doing and confident. And I mean, you're singing in Swedish, like it's. I just wondered if you ever think, wow, we could, try this or whatever, because it's the choruses, the harmonies, they're beautiful, and it could be radio music.
We're too busy thinking about how you could write a concept album about like Dungeons and Dragons to think about how you could write a pop song. It's like we really just follow our interests, and our interests don't necessarily lead us in that direction. Not that we don't enjoy pop music or that we don't, take inspiration from pop music. There is something to be said about, the very kind of efficient songwriting of pop music, where it's like, maybe this riff doesn't need to happen 14 times. Maybe if it happens 4 times and then we do something in between that and come back to it, that would be a cooler song, So I don't think we would ever consciously maybe say, okay, guys, this album we're writing pop. If it were to happen, it would have happened naturally. Like we were all kind of in that headspace.
Yeah, more organic.
I think one very important thing about that is like the mindset going into doing something. Early on, we said that, okay, we're not going to make money out of this band. We're not going to try to live on it. We're going to have other things that makes us money on the side, and this is going to be a creative outlet. And when you take away the sentiment to make money of the songs, then there's really no reason to make it for any other than yourself. And pop music is written for other people than yourself often.
Well, that's a wonderful way to put it. And God bless you.
That said, we do love a good melody. Like one of Robert's favorite bands is Weezer, and I mean, Rivers can write a good melody, and we try to also have good melodies when appropriate.
I mean, I'm not trying to encourage you to do that. I'm just wondering about it. It's because I'm not in the music industry and I don't know what the pressure is. It's like that. I have this sort of working theory about 4 albums. When I always kind of do it with like Metallica and, Mastodon, sort of the same way. Like the first album is kind of your thesis statement. This is who we are, Kill 'Em All and Remission. And your second one's like, but we're also this, Leviathan and Ride the Lightning. And then your third album's kind of an experiment a little bit with what you've already established. What if we were also this, which is like Master of Puppets and Blood Mountain? And then you get to that 4th album and it's like, and this is what we've become through all that. And I feel like you guys have landed. This is the culmination of those 4 records. It feels like to me, from an outsider, from a guy who just heard you on this one, but it really is an incredible accomplishment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It means a lot because I have that same feeling as well. I feel like this is the start of what we've always wanted to do. Really, like
that's cool.
Okay, now we know how to record it and write it, but also record it, because we recorded everything ourselves and mixed it ourselves and everything. So it doesn't feel like an old band at all. It feels like, okay, now we're ready to discover and explore this thing. Now we're gonna start our journey.
Yeah, it feels very. I mean, I just met you today, but it feels very uniquely you guys. Like this feels like this is kind of our, arrival party. There's something about it. So that's interesting. I can't wait to see where you go. Let me talk to you about really quick, and I will let you guys go because we're at an hour, but about other space metal concept albums and see what you think.
Yeah, of course. I got it as well in my vinyl collection. Amazing album. It's hugely important for the band as well. A lot of the music we wrote after that album is based on that album. So.
Yeah, that's Warped Riders by the Sword. Warp Riders, by the Sword. Yeah, I love the Sword's first 2 records, and this one I was like, but it had that. When I saw the cover for Vermillion Sky, it had that sort of retro futurism, the kind of Ridley Scott, George Lucas originally.
Yeah.
Sort of feel to it that I love, and I think I have a feeling I know what the reaction will be to this one. That's by Mastodon.
Yeah. Oh, never heard of it. Yeah.
These are all records that have been in very heavy rotation in our tour bus for the last since they came out and moving forwards. Like, how long have we had this band now? It's 2025, 15 years.
Yes.
I think those albums have always been with us. And for Mastodon, I think for us, it's actually The Hunter, for me personally at least. It came out like around when we sort of went to that school. And I think that was the first one for me where they like felt like they could be totally free and be like, okay, it doesn't matter. We don't have to be a metal band. We can throw in like whatever the fuck on a record, and the songs can go in all directions on one record. It doesn't have to be like cohesive in that way. It can be cohesive in another way, but the songs doesn't have to sound like they're living in a similar world even. So that opened up, I think, a lot for us creatively to dare.
Totally. And I mean, Mastodon's great. They're the best at that. And I love where they went after the Hunter. You know, I love the ones where Around the Sun. I loved Emperor of Sand, and they're a great band. This one might be an outlier. I don't know, but it is Swedish and it is about space. But I heard a little post metal, I thought, on Star Squad.
Yeah.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Erik likes Cult of Luna. Yeah, that's Mariner. Yes. One of my favorites.
Our album is mastered by one of the drummers from Cult of Luna.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I love that album. It's one of my favorites. I just thought, I started thinking about, there's all these sort of space concept albums, which are really cool.
No. We're the first band who ever explored space. That's a concept for music.
Yeah, these were all set in like ancient France. I don't know what I'm thinking.
but no other band has this standing at home.
Oh wait, what is this?
This is the Vermillion Sky arcade machine.
Okay, well, now I have to come over. I'll be there in like 12 hours.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I bet Cult of Luna doesn't have her own video game.
I don't
exactly.
Man.
Mastodon might.
Thank you so much for doing this. It is so awesome meeting you, getting to talk to you. This is my favorite part about doing this is getting to just hear sort of the inside stuff about your creative process, your band, and hopefully introduce more people. I did have a couple of friends who reached out to me, a couple of listeners who reached out to me, because my listeners are my friends. They reached out and were like, holy shit, that Vermillion Sky album slaps. And I was like, I know. It's almost like it should be an album of the year, isn't it? It's so great. And I do believe that like people will recognize great stuff if they can hear it, if they can fight through the just vast amounts of fucking content that we are buried in all the time. I was lucky enough to love your cover art. That it just happened that way. So I really hope this gets to some new people's ears and that you guys keep going. I'm excited to see where you're going from here. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
To have people want to talk to you about your weird shit you're doing is the best about it. So.
And I do need to hear that Dungeons and Dragons album.
It's coming.
It's coming. You just wait.
Listen, we're doing this Zoom meeting again next week, only I'm bringing my 20-sided dice, and it's happening.
Perfect.
For sure. And we will send over those adoption papers soon, so.
I'll be in the mail with the book.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Well, I can just pick them up when I come to play the video game. All right, you guys. Good luck with everything in the future. Keep in touch. Next time you produce an album, let's talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Definitely. Let's do it.
Cool.
For sure.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.